Hi, my name is Michael Booker, and this is my solo exhibition, Veil. I made this show to really try to figure out some of the feelings that I was dealing with and try to put a visual language to those feelings. These feelings came about over the past 12 to 18 months through the COVID pandemic and also the protests and the social injustices that you would turn on the news and see every day. And so while all these things was going on, there was this stress and this feeling that I started to feel that I couldn't put words to. And I felt very vulnerable at the time. And so I found myself building a wall up to protect myself and protect my peace and withdrawing from situations that I would otherwise engage in that would give me that stress. And so I found turning to these drawings, it let me find this release, this cathartic release that I needed, that I didn't have words for before. In this show, there are two pieces that really encapsulated some of the feelings I was feeling by being isolated all the time. As an artist in my studio, I'm used to being alone for extended period of times, but the pandemic kind of changed that. And so like being indoors, looking outside, looking out to nature, it almost felt like nature itself was taunting me and it was forbidden. And so in this piece, The Weight of the World, weight spelled W-A-I-T, I wanted to encapsulate that nature being all surrounding this person that's kind of peeking out, almost like a groundhog, looking for his shadow, trying to find like, is it over yet? And as I was working on that piece and working on another piece in tandem, The Weights of the World, which we can see on this other wall over here, weight spelled W-E-I-G-H-T, I want to try to just encapsulate that heavier feeling or that weight that was being felt by me, by those feelings I was feeling of stress, where I didn't know what they were. I just felt like this pressure, like at all points. So I wanted to put this figure here, again, surrounded by nature, but these bars kind of pushing him down to the corner as this weight is pressing down on him. As I was mentioning some of those unnameable feelings before, those things that I didn't feel like I could really define for myself, I wanted to try to put those things within this work here, Retrograde. And so we have part of the work that's a little bit more in focus, but then the other 2/3 of the work is a little bit more abstracted. And all these different abstractions and marks and opposing forces kind of combating with each other in this work to really point to this confusion that I was feeling, the stress, the pressure. And so Retrograde is pointing to that. So to point to those barriers, I wanted to include a way for the viewer to not fully access the figures in most of these pieces. So I wanted to, in this piece, draw this one intentionally out of focus. So you see this moment of intimacy, but you're still a little bit removed from it since you can't see it clearly. And also the way that it's cut kind of points to something that's maybe missing here. So you're not really getting the full story, but you're getting a little hint of that vulnerability and allowing you to access it a little bit, but a little bit removed from it because of the out of focus and the negative space that we see here. In this piece, everything's fine. This is the only piece in the entire show where the figure directly engages with the viewer. In every other piece, I wanted all of the figures to have some type of barrier that prevents the viewer from getting to their vulnerable spot. So they may be drawn out of focus or drawn so their head is turned away from you, but this one, you can lock eyes with this one. And so this figure is finally at the part where they're ready to lower that veil, to lower their guard, to let someone else in to see how they're feeling. And I wanted to end on this piece because of that, because with this show, even though I felt like all these feelings I didn't know how to deal with, I think now I'm able to process these feelings. And I'm coming out a little bit more on the positive side with it. And all the figures in here represents these feelings in my battle and my journey of how I was dealing with it into where I am now.